Hello, it is Midweek Extra. We are all smiling because the Reds have done it again, and I'm joined by my favourite Kavanagh, Jay, certainly the best Jimmy Carr by far, and everyone's favourite Mo, of course. Well, top two at least, Mo Stewart. And we're all just smiling, we're all just happy, Mo, because we keep saying they can't do it again, and they keep doing it again.
Yeah, and I've stopped saying they can't keep doing it again. I've just kind of relinquished the fact that we are going to be seeing this every game for the rest of the season. I have 45 last-minute winners, 4 trophies, happy days.
It doesn't stop feeling incredible, does it, Jay? You know, when you're there in the ground and you think, oh, well, it's the 5th one, it's not going to... They're going to tone down the celebrations. If anything, that might have been the biggest one.
I know, it gets more and more insane, like the more it happens. Like it's such a weird place to be when you go into a game like today, yesterday rather, where you're pushing for the late winner again and again and again. It's a mentality thing for me on that side. And it's a relief as well of, we've done it finally, like, you know, it's there for everyone to see, but we're not stopping at that. And it's persistence of the squad as well that I think is just never going to die in this season, which I'm more than happy to watch another 30, 40, 60 games of that this season where we're going to be scoring late on, yeah.
On the beliefometer, where were you, Jimmy? How high?
The minute that second goal went in, I was like, we're going to score a late winner. I could tell they were going to score because we were going to score a late winner. It was in the air, you could just smell it all night.
Do you say a late goal or a late changing goal is a journalist's nightmare?
Yes.
You sit in the press box. Are they even bothering now? Are they all just sat there like feet up going like, well, we don't know who scores, someone's going to score the winner, so we'll worry about that.
Unfortunately, yes, we are still all bothered. Like, honestly, there was the amount of eye rolls that I saw from the people sat around me. It was just like, delay. But yeah, I mean, if we were writing in by hand back in the day, we'd be writing in pencil rather than pen. But it's almost like you have to have a backup plan just in case, because like you say, we're seeing it so often. But I think the difference between a late winner when it's 1-0 and then a late winner where you've had a lead and then given it away is that there is a little bit more. So the match report was going to be probably a bit more scathing than it would have been if it was just like ended up a 0-0 and they didn't quite get over the line. And you kind of sense that with the players. I mean, some of the ones I spoke to post-match, but even just in the way that they went about it in the second half, it was almost like they were annoyed with themselves. It's like, how have we got ourselves in this position again? Yeah. But again, they also just have this undeniable stubbornness. That's like, no, we're not going out like that.
Yeah, and it's the determination that Mo talks about that's partly what makes them so special. Obviously, they're phenomenal footballers as well, but the way they could just rise to the occasion, and it's different people coming to the party each time. It's not just the same person scoring late. It's 5 different goal scorers of these late goals, and it's brilliant to see. But I thought I wanted to give a shout to Bosley's corners, because we got 4 or 5 towards the end, and I thought the delivery on all of them was unbelievable. And you know, we've said in the past, you know, you get a bit of pressure on, and then the corner hits the first man. The cop does this big groan, and it sort of deflates everyone really. Whereas I thought, as I say, it felt like he had 4 or 5 in a 10-minute period that were all just bang on. You could see their defenders were panicking a little bit. They were starting to hold and things like that, and it just felt there was a build up of momentum that came through that. Yeah,
it's really refreshing to see how well we've sort of progressed with our sort of free kick taking and corner taking in this last sort of season or so under Arne Slot. There was a period under Klopp where we couldn't beat the first man whoever took corners. The quality of delivery these days is just so much better for whatever reason, whether they're working on it on the training ground or, you know, whether it's just heat of the moment and they're putting these balls in. But you're taking 4, 5, 6 corners in a row in a game where you need to get the 3 points on the board to sort of start your Champions League campaign really, really well. And it was just like, it was inevitable, wasn't it? Getting that goal. And yes, I think Szoboszlai's been our best player this season so far.
Just on those corners, on the relentlessness, I'm going to do a rugby analogy because Neil's not here. Okay. To stop me, so I'm allowed. You know, sometimes when I watch international rugby, and someone's just, and it's just pressure, and it's like a rolling ruck or something like that, or it's a series of breakdowns, and you just like, it's just going to tell eventually. It's just these bodies just keep sort of going, and you can see the defenders are panicking. They're like dragging people down, they're giving penalties away, and then eventually some big guy just bundles over. It felt a bit like that with the goal because, like I said, the delivery into the box was so strong. I was like, the only thing that's going to beat us here is a final whistle.
Yeah, and it's such a weird one with set pieces, isn't it? Because I remember all of last season, all the talk that I was giving and all of us were giving about Liverpool aren't good at set pieces. Why aren't Liverpool any good at set piece anymore? And we were now in the era of set piece coaches. We're in the era of set piece coaches becoming actual managers, Keith Andrews. And there's so much time and effort dedicated into working out all these tiny little advantages. And you know what it is? It's the fella kicking the ball. That's the most important part. When that bit is right, everything else follows afterwards. Because, like, as we were saying, like, Virgil, when we asked him about it post-match, is like, he was like, they were very aggressive, and he had a bit of a smile on his face in terms of, like, their marking system, because he knew that they were hanging all over him. Their plan was to just try to basically muscle them out of the way. I'm not sure if they've seen Virgil van Dijk before, but he doesn't get muscled out of the way by many people. So you need that ball to keep putting the pressure on them, to keep giving him the opportunities, because he can do all the moves he wants, but if the ball's nowhere near him, he's not going to score. And I don't know what it is that has made Liverpool suddenly find that, because it hasn't just been Szoboszlai. I remember the deliveries from Gakpo against Burnley were really good as well, and it's not just one guy taking it every time. Everybody has their go, and maybe that's the secret. Maybe it's not just the same guy doing it time and time and time again.
Yeah, maybe. It's funny. Mo mentioned their set piece coaches. I did notice, like, well, he's been at the club for a while, but he's now established set piece coaches, and the players were looking over to him before everyone, going like, "Oh, what are we doing?" And this guy was doing all these hand moves, like the baseball, and I felt like I was behind him. I was like, "Bitch, steady." Like, that's the only signal you needed. Yeah. I was just like, "Come on," do you know what I mean? Yeah.
There are a lot of people potentially stealing a living, is what we were saying, really. But again, I think even if you think back to Arsenal and how great they are, like, it's underrated the fact that the Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka's delivery is so good. Yeah. And when they came to Anfield a couple of weeks ago and their set pieces were rubbish, it's because Declan Rice couldn't beat the first man. Yeah. Like, I'd say maybe 80-90% of having a good set piece is delivery. So if we can find a way to keep doing that, and to be honest, in the way that it's set up at the moment, with teams coming trying to frustrate Liverpool not quite finding fluency yet, set pieces become even more important because they break the game open. And it's almost like a free shot when you aren't really creating as many as you would want.
The captain, though, it's some header, even though the delivery is incredible, like Mo's just said, it's still some header. He's getting some aggressive defending. You know, it's on the borderline, isn't it? He's been speaking to the ref for the couple before about it, trying to highlight it. But it transpires, it doesn't matter. You can get on his back. You can chop his knees off if you want. Like, he's just still going to score. It's a brilliant header under all that pressure.
Yeah. He digs it out, doesn't he? When you watch him, you can see he's scanning the ball all the way across. But he's done that throughout the season, which is what I think Van Dijk's improved on his game massively this year. He's becoming like a proper colossal defender now. The way we look at him, he's just like this cool, calm, collective footballer. Whereas now, you can throw a brick at him and he's going to put it. And like you mentioned the Arsenal game and even the Newcastle game, that was his best performance for me. Every time there's a ball in the air, he goes, he finds it and he digs it out and then he gets his team up and it's like that's it, let's get cheap. And that's what he's done brilliant this season. But again, similarly to the West Ham goal last season, we needed the goal and we were chasing it, and as the captain you've got to go and find it, and he's gone and got it for us. Yeah,
absolutely. It's okay. Rewind, sound effect, right to the start. We have to start every game now at the end, but let's go right back to the start. I mean, it couldn't have been a quicker start, to be fair. We get the free kick. Gravenberch wins that free kick with a burst and run that he was doing all half. He's playing phenomenally well. He's starting this season like he started last season, which was brilliant.
If you watch him, it feels like it's Fabinho and Wijnaldum in the prime, rolled into one midfielder. You know, he's making those defensive actions, winning the ball, seeking the easy pass sometimes, going sideways, but then also on the half-turn, picked up from the defence and then just driving through the heart of midfield and line-breaking runs, line-breaking passes. I think he's excelled again on top of a brilliant season last season, which didn't think was possible. How could he get any better? But week in, week out, he's getting better and better and better.
He's, to misquote Louis Walsh, made the position his own in terms of how he's doing it, Mo. I'm interested, you watch a lot more football than I was going to say, most people. Is there anyone else that you could think of who plays it in his style? Because the defensive midfielder, you know, my favourite was Mascherano. You know, he was the terrier. You know, he was winning everything. He was, if a fullback was out, don't worry, he was sort of over there. But obviously, you know, he wasn't known for carrying the ball, or particularly passing was fine. But you know, he was very much. We associate defensive midfielders as guys who are good at tackling and then they'll pass to
they'll let someone else do the fancy bits.
Whereas, can you think of many who play in that position either now or in the past who play quite like him? The way he carries the ball, because we talk about low blocks. If you've got someone who can just take someone out the game, it is so big.
So I've been thinking about this independently of this question, because you do start to wonder, like, where else have you had someone who's combined that with that? And I don't know if it's maybe just because they're all Dutch, but I think back to like Frank Rijkaard.
Yeah, good shout.
He's the kind of one who had that elegance about him, even though he had the brain to be destructive. Because I think the defensive stuff he does still kind of goes under the radar because we're all kind of marvelling at the turns and the driving of the ball. But he's still doing the defensive midfield.
He wins a brilliant tackle on our side.
Yeah. I love that one because it's almost like he stands there. It's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I know, I'm just gonna nip the ball.
The tackle that comes out with the balls, it's the best tackle, isn't it? Yeah.
He's so long though, isn't he? He just sticks his leg up and no one's getting past him.
I love that. Thanks. I'll way away. But Rijkaard had the intelligence to know that where to place himself. But in terms of his attacking stuff in that position, it makes me think of, so there's a few times back in the day when like some attacking midfielders lost their legs a bit, and so they ended up playing like almost a sweeper. So Rod Hewlett at Chelsea, when he was like, I'm not going to get up and down the pitch all the time, but every now and then I'll see a gap and I'll go for it. Or Glenn Hoddle, again at Chelsea. Like those kind of players who have had that career where they're up in the front, but now they just want to be able to be here and see the whole pitch in front of them. I would have almost kind of said John Barnes, but he wasn't quite as, he was more using the passing rather than driving with the ball. But yeah, it's like having a Glenn Hoddle, but also having a Frank Rijkaard or someone like that. But he's just, I just don't know why I don't know if it's just freshness has kind of brought him back to where he was this time last year. But yeah, long may it continue.
Right, homework for you two boys is the YouTube Frank Lampard. Like, Rijkaard, there is a Frank Lampard there, you know. You don't worry about him. He just scores deflected goals. Frank Rijkaard, you'll end up going down a rabbit hole. You'll end up in AC Milan in the 80s. It'll be a brilliant hour. It'll be fantastic. He's involved in the second goal as well, Gravenberg. He plays a little 1-2 in Mo, but I mean, let's face it, the goal's pretty much all Mo. The way he holds them off the strength. It reminds me a little bit of the Napoli one about 5 years ago in the Champions League. It's not quite as good a goal as that, but the way he holds off the bigger defenders and the coolness of the shot, it's pure Salah.
Yeah, and he takes his goal so well. Like, again, Gravenberg does excellent to drive with the ball and play him in, but he just sticks his elbow out. He's like, you're not getting past me. You're not coming round me. Because he struggled a little bit in recent games, hasn't he, Mo? But I thought yes, he was brilliant. I thought that's his best performance so far. I think it's because he had about 20-30 yards of space to get at the full-back, get round them and stuff. And he had a bit of support on his side as well. And I thought he was brilliant yesterday, and the goal speaks for itself. Apart from the goal and the dodgy assist that he didn't mean, again, I thought his general play was brilliant. Yeah.
I think in terms of the space he got, I think we have to give a shout out to Frimpong as well. Because there were a lot of times when he was bombing out overlapping, and he forced the fullback to at least either look at him or maybe even trying to play both of them. And that just gave, and he doesn't need a lot more space than he normally gets. But anytime he gets it, he's just like...
We normally have it on the other side, don't we, with Kerkers and Gakpo, but Gakpo just doesn't like to pass Kerkers the ball, does he? He just likes to cut inside and whip a back stick, whereas with this, we've now got two options. If Frimpong goes there, like the penalty shout, he can go there and the ball can be drilled across the box, or Salah can come inside or do whatever he does. And I'm enjoying it on that side. I think that's what Frimpong allows you, because Bradley's a little bit more screwed on, whereas he's not got every time going with his Frimpong. He's that quick. He can do doggies of the pitch and still make it back in time.
That penalty, sorry. That's the first time ever in a ground we've got a penalty and everyone's gone, it's not a penalty. I normally get shouted for it. You're like, what's he giving? I mean, it helps when you're 2-0 up, of course. Sorry, Mo Salah.
No, I think you get the best out of Salah when you play Jeremy Frimpong, just because the way Salah plays, it's in that sort of half space on that sort of right side of the box, and if the width you get him from Frimpong, who wants to bomb on every single time, he creates that space like you mentioned there. It makes the defender at least think about what's Jeremy Frimpong doing, so you're dragging the space out for Salah to then exploit that space, which is kind of where the goal comes from. I know the ball comes in from Gravenberch, but you get a little bit of space where you can receive the ball because Frimpong makes the outside run. Like you say, Salah does what Salah does, and it's sort of shades of it's brilliant season last season. So again, long may that continue as well.
What did you make of us for the rest of the half, Mo? Because we obviously go 2-0 up, we're feeling great about it. We continue to be on top, but we go in at a 2-1. You know, what do you generally feel like of the approach for the rest of the half?
I felt like, so at half-time I said, so that's what 98% of perfect football feels like. Because I really felt like once they got that 2-0 lead, their tails went up and the ball was pinging around and everyone felt more comfortable. Like Florian Wirtz, you could sense that he was thinking, okay, I can really make some mischief here. Like that's the one run that he goes on where he rides the tackle and kind of drives through the centre of the pitch. I thought, okay, this is the Florian Wirtz I thought we were going to get. And if he's doing this now, hopefully he's going to kick on. But there was the one where Salah kind of tries to bend it. That would have been a fantastic goal. And it
it was on 20 as well. It would have been so nice.
Exactly. And
the Wirtz ball out to him is unbelievable.
It is,
well.
and again, that if that had gone in, you sense that the coaching side would have been like showing that video again and again, going, this is what I want out of you. So that was the first time this season you almost started to get to see what this team could and hopefully will be like once they're all clicked in. But credit to Atletico, they did not just think, okay, well, we're on to a hiding and going into their shell. They still felt like, right, we've got to try and score. And they kept trying to get into position, trying to get into areas. But we were doing great jobs of, whenever they got past one or two person, there was someone else to make the interception or someone else to make the block. We were very switched on defensively until we weren't. And yeah, again, speaking to Virg post-match, you sensed that he was really frustrated by the timing, but also the nature of that goal just before half-time, because that really did change everything in terms of the atmosphere. Because if they go in 2-0, they're a lot calmer. They're able to go out there, keep that freedom up. Potentially means that Atletico are going to have to make more risks, which is going to give them more space, and the game becomes very different. But that, I don't know whether or not it's because of all of the 2-0 leads that have gone so far this season already, but that 2-1 made a massive difference to how the mindset of everyone, and they started panicking, they started kind of rushing things, and it was just a bit like, no guys, you don't have to do this, you're still much better than this team, just calm down. But yeah, I do think that when they're doing all the coaching stuff today and tomorrow, they will go back, there'll be like a 20-30 minute block in that first half and be like, do this all the time.
I massively agree with Mo, and I'm pleased he said that, because I think it's easy to look at it and go, oh well, Liverpool went 2-0 up, took the foot off the pedal, Atletico scored. I asked a deliberately open question because I didn't want to sort of lead it too much, but that was exactly my opinion as well, which was we were still pushing. There was a brilliant moment where the ball, we're about 40 minutes, we're really on top. We just had the chance where Wirtz goes through, then it goes to Frimpong, and he basically just air kicks it, doesn't he, with the goal there, which is so frustrating. But we're really on top, and the ball goes out to the throw-in, and Andy Robertson's running over and asking for it, and go, give me quick. And it turns out the ref would give a free kick, and the ball boy knew, but he was just like, no, and Robert was like, give it to me, like shouting at him, which I felt so sorry for him for. But it just showed that Liverpool's intensity was there, and I think on 40, if you'd have said to them there's another goal, they'd have been 99% sure it was them, because that's how they were playing.
I think we just become a little bit too complacent sometimes, though. We don't take teams to the sword anymore. Whereas under Klopp we used to, we'd absolutely batter them, but a team's got to get a hiding off us soon. It's coming. It's going to be like... I hope so. No, a team's going to get a hiding off us soon. You can just tell, like, the way we're playing, but I think because Slot likes his performance and his team to be a little more controlled, a little bit more settled, we get that advantage, and he goes, right, just calm the fuck down and let's just play football. And we get a bit too complacent, but it speaks volumes with the goal as well. You can just tell that people are getting a little bit too more relaxed and switched off. Because when you watch the goal, it comes from Isak presses the ball goes out to the fullback, little ball over the top. Szoboszlai and Gakpo and Robertson are just a bit lackadaisy, and then they just lose the man, and then it becomes Robertson gets back in. But then it's like a 4-on-4, and you can't be having that, especially against a team as the quality of Atletico, because they'll make it count.
Yeah. There's still a bit of fortune with the goal. I think that it deflects off Canate, and you know, there's a couple of things that the referee's looking for as well. I don't know what you made of it.
Yeah, a little bit of fortune, but again, you create your own fortune. If he doesn't shoot, he doesn't get the deflection to get the goal. So you can talk about luck in either sense, you know what I mean? But you make a good point there with the pressing. I thought myself that we pressed really well for large portions of that game, and the one time you don't, they score off the back of it. But yeah, I think it was one of those games where when it goes 2-1, but it could have been 3 or 4-0 at that stage, it does set sort of a little bit of panic and puts the game in a bit of a weird place where you go into half time and you could be cruising 3 or 4, and it's now there's one goal in it and one deflection can make it 2-2, and it did make it 2-2, but fortunately we were able to find the winning goal.
You've got to press as a unit, haven't you? And we didn't for that.
Yeah.
It was Isaac pressing on his own, straight out to the fullback like you should do, you force it out
Yeah.
wide, and Gakpo's not closing down as normally he does. And then when that ball goes over the top, 9 times out of 10, Soboslai's chasing it and he wins it. But the two of them are just like walking next to each other like, oh, it's not going to happen this.
It's mad, because what you were saying before about the way that we play and the complacency versus control thing, I think the last 5 minutes of the half, always, particularly a game where we're really trying to score and it hasn't quite happened in the last 10, 15 minutes, it's almost, maybe there's like an energy thing where they're like, okay, let's just kind of hold it where we are to half time. So the problem with that though is mentally, a lot of the players are already thinking it's half, like the half is over because we're shutting it down. And then you get a situation, like as Jay said, that people aren't doing what they should be doing. They're not as sharp, not as intense. And so you allow a few extra players to get free, and then you get into a situation where you kind of chase it back. But also, I mean, if it's hard to be too critical of the goals that we conceded, because like Llorente basically had a gap this big to get between Konate's legs, and he managed to get it in there, and it was like a crazy golf shot. Through the windmill. Yeah, it gets it through the windmill, and then it rolls around and goes right into the far corner, and it's like, it's so frustrating because they really didn't have a lot of good. They didn't create anything good chance. Like, I'm not going to go 2xG on you all, but like the highest value chance they had was the last one, Solov's header, and that was like 1 in 10. Okay. All the others were less than 1 in 10. So it wasn't like Atletico were getting into great positions again and again and again. It was just two small issues that caused a big problem, and that is kind of the issue when you aren't being as clinical as Jim says. But that game should be, by the time they score that goal, it should already be 4-0.
We could have been dead and buried, couldn't we, after 30 minutes? And that's the issue. We don't take teams to the swords. We do come off the gas a little bit, and if we do get that 3 or 4 advantage, then you can do that, because 2-0 is the worst lead in football. Because if you can see just before half time, it's alarm bells going off, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't think it should have been offside. I don't, personally.
No, I don't. No. I think it's just an excuse to try and to claim for the goal, really.
I mean, I'm not a goalkeeper. I mean, our resident goalkeeper expert seems to think that he probably would have been offside.
And he's fuming as well.
But, I mean, from where I was sitting, it looked like he was in the way. And again, I don't know necessarily the precise wording of the rule, but if that was the Premier League game and we scored a goal and we had a player there, we'd be thinking, oh, this might be coming back. But it's difficult. Like, they're probably thinking, well, where he placed it and where the ball was going, it didn't make a difference to Alisson. But then
Alisson seems to move in a normal way. If he didn't seem to be restricted, but it's like you say, Mo would say, well, what is the exact wording of the rules and things like that, and after they changed it this week.
Well, I mean, like as we mentioned with the penalty, the refs were on a bit of a mad one last night. So I don't know. I would have, if it had been the other way around and we scored it and it had been disallowed, I probably would have been a bit like, fair enough.
Yeah. No, I think that is fair. Okay, I want to give a huge shout out to NordVPN, who are partnering with us for this run up to Christmas. Really appreciate their ongoing support. We've been working with them for a long time now, and the reason for that is that so many of you have signed up and have really enjoyed this service. So thanks for getting in touch. Thanks for letting us know that you are enjoying it for a variety of reasons. People talk about the internet security. People talk about the fact that, you know, when you're traveling abroad, it gives you that peace of mind logging on to public Wi-Fi's and things like that. But one of the main reasons I know a lot of you sports fans out there enjoy NordVPN is that ability to click a button, change your virtual location, and suddenly you are virtually, like magic, somewhere else. You're able to watch things that aren't available in your country, that aren't available in others. Now, I say sports things. I went over to Dublin last week and someone said, have you seen Traitors Island? And I was like, I haven't. And they were like, it's good, you know. It's good, you know. And I was like, oh, I'm interested. So when my wife Googled it, she says it's only available. It's only on Irish TV. It's RT8, is it called?
Yeah.
And I was like, Laura, I've got our NordVPN on every device in this house. You can watch it on your tablet, you can watch it on your laptop. So yeah, so we're going to watch Traitors Island.
So is that a mashup of Traitors and Love Island? Or is it just like Traitors on an island?
No, it's as in Republic of Ireland. It's their version.
Oh.
Sorry, yeah, there's too many islands. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Republic of Ireland, they've got their own traitors. Apparently, it's brilliant. They all want to kill each other. You know, in England, they're a bit polite. Ireland aren't having it. So yeah, so it's the traitors Irish version. Let me know if you're watching it in Ireland or on a VPN in another bit of the parts of the world.
Although
yeah.
Traitors Island feels like maybe the next move.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, write that down now. Remember, I robbed Rotorua.
I was going to say, yeah. It sounds like the next one.
You're throwing away your ideas in here, and then other people are sort of running with them. Absolutely happening. If you want to get involved with NordVPN, there is a discount available if you go to nordvpn.com/TAW. nordvpn.com/TAW. And yeah, let's all watch Traitors Island together. Anyway, just a little bit more on last night. What did you make of the second half, Jay? Because there's the substitutions which changed things a little bit. You know, Isaac, who we haven't really touched on so far, but I thought played well, looked bright, was always going to, you know, go off. Berta, who I thought did really well in that central midfield role, maybe less so at left wing, but it's hard to tell if he's just tired or whether it's a suitability thing for him. But what do you make of us in the second half when those players were changed?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a theme this season. When a fullback's been changed, the game sort of changes, and whether it was a left back, you know, with Kirkes coming off and in previous games, and then with last night with Frimpong coming on, I think Bradley coming on didn't have his best game, but he's being thrown into a game where it's in the balance. It's, you know, it could go either way at that point. I thought Atletico reacted really well to how they scored. You know, they put it on us a little bit, but I thought we were really short defensively. I know we still conceded 2 goals, but you know, we mentioned like the deflections, one of them, and the first goal is dubious, where they could have been offside. I thought we defended really, really well, and they were looking for half space in between the left back and the centre half, trying to put the ball across. A lot of fast, low balls as well, and thought we cut them out really, really well. Thought as a unit we played really well, but it just sometimes the changes haven't worked, whatever reason, whether it's just because they're not match fit running into the game, as in like they're not up to speed, they're coming on with, you know, cold legs, or, you know, they're coming into a game that's intense and they're not at that level already. It can sort of stifle the flow of the game. I think that's where we suffered a little bit, is when the changes were made.
What do you reckon, second half?
Yeah, I thought the changes made us backpedal a little bit. I thought every one of the lads who come on didn't have the greatest game. Ekatike weren't great, he weren't holding the ball up. Everything was bouncing off him. When they had to come off, we kind of lost that little bit of magic in the middle. We had none of that. McAllister didn't look great. And Bradley weren't great either when he come on. Just don't tell Craig I said that. No, Bradley weren't great when he come on either. You know, by the way, his foul was not a yellow card.
Yeah.
First tackle, there is never a yellow card, by the way. But again, he gets.
Yeah, not off that ref. There was 2 throw-ins that he thought he had, and one of them sort of led to the goal. Well, so yeah, he was getting very little over there, to be fair. But, maybe that got in his head. Yeah,
but he gives. I think he gives the throw away for their goal, and then gets skinned for the goal, and then every time he was on the ball, he weren't making the right passes. He just looked a bit all over the place. He got booked straight away, and then they come on and scored from his mistake. So I think he just looked a little bit all over the place. But I thought the subs weren't great yesterday. Rio, when he come on again, done 104 step overs. But again, he looks exciting when he comes on. He looks like there's a threat constantly, regardless of if he makes something happen or he doesn't. He still looks like he's going to be a threat when he comes on the pitch.
Yeah, but opponents always have to keep an eye on him. They have to put at least one player on him.
There was 2 on him last night, though, when he come on. Yeah.
And a lot of time that gives space to other people. But Yeah, it's funny with Bradley because I felt like he came on against Burnley and did really, really well.
Yeah.
And then in this game he came on and as Jim said, it wasn't his best. And it's interesting you mentioned that earlier on the card because the move for the second goal, obviously Koke gets ahead of him, but he's still in position to get back to him before he gets into the box. If he hasn't got a yellow card, he's probably making the tackle and trying to get it out for a corner. But he doesn't because he knows that if he mistimes it, he's off. So then he tries to jockey him in, and then it looks like he's got hold of it, and then Koke just kind of reaches around him and pokes the ball out. So maybe that getting a yellow card so early did put him on the back foot. But again, I think when we talk about subs and working and not working, I think we think about the last season and how often it seemed to work. And again, I think this is another one of those things where we kind of underestimate how important it was that everybody knew each other already was well established as part of the squad. So when a new man comes in, they know their role, they know what the role of everyone else is, they know how they like to play and where they can kind of get their space to kind of work with them. And we're still working that out, so it's going to be up and down. But if I'm Slot, I'm really scratching my head because it's like the Bournemouth game, 2-0 up, then we almost try to attack too much, concede 2 goals. Newcastle game, go 2-0 up and a man up, suddenly stop attacking, and then they get back into the game.
Yeah.
And then, so you think when you've done it both ways and neither of them have worked, so then you get into it this time and they've got so long. They've got like 80, potentially 85 minutes and change to be 2-0. And they're all probably thinking, well, what do we do now? And then the goal comes, and like I say, you wonder whether the spectre of those other ones got into their mind because they're suddenly they're so imprecise, they're sloppy. Like the one where Salah hits the post. Yeah. Like basically, like Verts and Sommers are literally skipping, holding hands. And it's just like, are you gonna shoot? Are you gonna shoot? No.
Let's give it to Ben.
But if either of them wasn't there, if it was one of them running through, they're having a shot.
Yeah.
And we were just a little bit discombobulated, still getting in each other's way. It felt like they were almost trying too hard to think, okay, we really need the third goal. We really need the third goal. Then it doesn't matter if they score again. But apparently we have to wait until they score again before we get the third goal.
It was nice to see a little bit of us in transition though, because we haven't seen any of that. I mean, there was no transitions at Burnley.
Yeah.
There was no sort of counter attacking. There was no attack to counter. At Burnley, Arsenal, just kill any of that as well. So it was nice to see these group of players in those opportunities where we could break, because I actually thought we broke really well, and it was a thing where it has gone out of our game a little bit. Jimmy mentioned the Klopp teams before. Like at the best, they were brilliant at it. I'm not saying it was that good last night, but there was times when we just broke well, and there was a little ball around the corner, and suddenly someone like Sebastian had loads of space in front of him or Verts. I thought, apart from nearly tackling each other, I thought Verts and Sebastian combined really well in that period. And because they've got such great control, they're able to do these combination plays in quite tight spaces, and then suddenly, they're drawing men over, and then a quick switch and someone's away. And I thought it was really nice to see. And although it wasn't ideal how close they were together, we still ended up hitting the post from the move, and there was 2 or 3 of those where I thought, you can see how that's going to work when we go away to a team who, do want to come on to us a little bit.
Yeah, it's been difficult this season, like playing against a low block when teams are playing with, 2 banks of 4 or a bank of 5 or a bank of 4 in their own box. It's impossible to find space, and you need a moment of luck or a moment of magic to sort of find something where playing teams. This is where I think Vert especially is going to start excelling, is in the Champions League, especially when teams are more likely to come at you. It doesn't matter whether you're playing away in Madrid or at home in Madrid or whatever it's going to be. Teams going to want to try and be on the front foot against you, which Atletico did once they were 2-0 down, and it stretched the game. And like you say, in transition, they looked really, really good. And I think Vert is getting better and better with every sort of touch that he takes with the ball these days as well. I think he's going under the radar a little bit. I know people are going to say about the goals and the assists that he's not getting a moment, but they'll come in time. He's getting used to the league, things like that. But he looked really, really fast on the counter-attack, which I've sat there just laughing half the time thinking, look, how good are we? You're looking at Isak's there, so Bosley's running through the middle of the pitch, you've got Verts running this way, that way. It's what a time to be a Red.
He'll just hit the ground running over it, won't he? I think you can see where he's at when he's got a proper striker, he's ready to get him behind. So Isak was playing in between both centre-backs and running off either shoulder, going in behind, whereas Atletico doesn't really do that. He drags out left, doesn't he? And then, like, Arks run all the way, whereas Isak's just like, I'm staying in between, put me the ball through and I'm in. Like, there was loads of times where he'd run and the ball wouldn't come to him, so he'd like have to run back on side, and then he'd have to run back on side. But I think because Vert is carrying that ball through the middle, it means Isak can make that run, and then he's got the options either side of Gakpo and Salah, or direct, or he can carry it, and that's where he excelled last night, where he just carried the ball.
It's early stages of the team as well. Like we've mentioned a million times that we've got so many new players coming in, slots, the game is coming thick and fast. He's having to find who he thinks is best to play with each other. Like I thought, this might have been a bit of a stupid thing to think, but I thought Verts played his best game against Arsenal because Curtis Jones was playing with him rather than McAllister. I think when Jones came on, Verts is not having to drop as deep to get the ball to sort of create something he can sort of focus in that final third. So I think it's sort of a little bit figuring out who plays well together and who fits what system the best against which team as well.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think my favourite, you've all said really intelligent things there. My favourite Isaac thing is how long his legs are, because there's one point where I think it's Verts actually gives him a bit of a crap ball, and I go, oh, fucking hell, and then Isaac just sticks his big long leg out and brings it in, and I was like, oh no, it's sound.
Like canoes.
It was unbelievable. He just like, it was like watching like a fly trap or something, just go bam, just sort of grab this ball. I was like, oh no, it's fine. Probably he can just pass in his general direction, and he will sort of bring that in. But there we go. That's the level of analysis you get from me. Okay, before we go into part 3, I do want to talk about Jimmy's brand new podcast that you're hosting, Back of the Cop. Tell us all about it.
So, Back of the Cop is a brand new podcast for a younger audience. That's what we target. Because it's all just half-assed nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, you've had it all there way too long.
I mean, I said that in the trailer and I got stick for it, saying I was having a go at the Anfield Wrap, but no, we're all mates around here, aren't we? Yeah, it's just a different viewpoint, different opinions. I think the podcast scene's missing authenticity from younger lads, because it's not that. It's people going the game, it's people filming the game, and people, especially lads our age, get annoyed at that. And I think that's what it's missing, is is younger lads to be able to sit there and have their thoughts, go to Galatasaray away, go from Stansted or Boots Fence or whatever. Like, there's so many things that we do that's completely different to the older generation, and it's like the media's missing something like this, and especially the fact that we're coming off winning the league and we're the best team in the world, then it's the perfect time to go for it, and there's a gap in the market for it.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was your age, I would have loved something like that. It sounds a little bit more like the way that we talk about it at school or wherever we are and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you've got the ability to do all that stuff, absolutely, crack on.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it, is you go to school with your mate, or you go to college, or you go to the pub, or whatever the age range you're at, and you just sit and talk about footy, and it's not as maybe a professional insight. It's just like, oh, he's fucking shit him off. Like, it's a bit more down to earth, bit more like young Scouse lads, and that's what, like I said, that's what we're missing.
Yeah, I will be aware that a lot of people who are listening to this and watch this look like me and Mo, which is completely fine. But hey, you might want a younger perspective on these things. It's always good to broaden the mind, isn't it? So you might enjoy it. But also, if you've got younger family members or friends and stuff like that who won't be seen dead listening to the Anfield Wrap, but might be into something like this, do please send it their way as well. So here is a little clip from Back of the Cop.
Every week on the podcast, we'll be reacting to the Reds' recent games, having a chat about Liverpool's concourse culture and what it's like to follow us home and away. Basically saying how boss we are compared to everyone else, because they're all shite. I'm Jimmy Carr, and I'm joined by Daniel Edwards, Jacob Whitcomb and Harrison Warden. And as you can tell, we're not bored now of men sat in a boozer, moaning about the Reds. We're all young, enthusiastic match goers. So, talking about the match, we've left it late again, haven't we, boys? 4 games, 4 wins, 4 late winners. Jay, I'll come to you first because you were there. So you as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there.
So the 2 lads were at Burnley. What was the atmosphere like when that Salah goal went in?
Unbelievable. I felt the atmosphere in itself was a little bit flatter than the others. I was worried that the crowd were almost giving up and going, surely we can't do this again.
Falling around.
Yeah.
Does that happen, does it?
That's kind of what it felt like halfway through the game. You're going like, oh, do we really believe it can happen again? And then I think because of that out when it does, it's even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact it came from a pen as well makes it even better because the fact everyone's moaning like.
Want to give it away as well?
Yeah.
He changed Anfield, and he was in the 7-0 game. He just started like
and he just started snapping
volleying everyone, didn't he?
I said to me dad when he came on, he'll do something stupid.
Yeah, he's got something in him.
I saw before it, me and my mate Eddie were looking at a bet builder before the game, and when the teams were announced, he was 17-10 to get booked.
He's on the bench.
While he was on the bench.
Yeah.
He was the favourite to get booked while he was on the bench.
He got booked when he came on, didn't he?
I think he clattered someone in the first few minutes.
Yeah,
I think it was
straight away.
Sure, he got booked when he came on.
And
Hit
then
Bradley straight away and then give a penalty.
And they've got the contender for the worst song ever, the one they've got about it.
They were singing his name for 20 minutes and then he does that.
It's mad, isn't it? Again, I look at it and go, I just can't believe we're getting away with it. Like, so
It's
much.
hysterical.
It
Like,
is.
like obviously you're 4 from 4, but it's hysterical how we've done it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and
It's hilarious.
I know every club has their own little thing, but like, surely it's only Liverpool.
It's gonna sound mad. It reminds me of United back in the day.
Yeah,
you know, when
United
they
back
used to
in the
find a
day,
way.
He grew up suffering.
Yeah, they used to find a way to win. But you know what? As long as we do it Saturday, I don't care.
And we are now previewing, as Andy Hean has reliably told us, the 247th, that's a lot, isn't it? Merseyside derby. I'll start with you, Jay. How you feel about it? How do you generally approach derbies?
Over the years, it's been sort of the mid-table club, if not lower. So it doesn't matter. You know, we've seen in games with Klopp where he's been able to rest players like Salah and still get a 5-2 win and things like that. You know, he's treated it as a club who are mid-table and not treated it as the occasion. But I think within this season, I think they might plan for it a little bit differently because of the Everton are sort of flying at the moment, which I don't think anyone's ever said that in the history of this podcast, but Everton are. They're doing really well, aren't they? That they're flying at the moment.
John's not inviting you back.
That's fine. No, I'm gonna praise them in a minute.
Yeah, it'd be a tough game. It's difficult to say because, again, a lot of teams will sit back in that low block like they have done in numerous games this season. I don't think they're going to come out and sit, come out and play against us and force us into mistakes. I think they're going to want us to attack them and frustrate us, but I'm excited for it. And like you said before the pod started, someone's going to get battered by us this week, in this season, and I hope it's this weekend. Yeah.
I'm not sure it's going to be this weekend, Mo. They remind me a little bit of the Ancelotti team with they had James Rodriguez as the catalyst, as the guy who Evertonians were like, I can't believe he plays for us. That's the Jack Grealish now. The Evertonians who I've been speaking of are just like, they just can't wait to watch him every week. You know, I mean, listen, he's been to Anfield before with Man City, and you know, I don't remember him particularly hurting us, but the team's sort of built around him now, and then there's other good players. I mean, Beto was like the toughest forward we faced all season last year. How much scores away and has the ball in the net at Anfield as well, but gets disallowed and so on. Would imagine that the manager will be starting with him, and then defensively, they don't look perfect at the moment, but I would imagine they'll be sort of well structured, and so I don't know. They feel to me like a dangerous opponent this weekend.
Yes, in some ways they are. I mean, you talk about the Ancelotti team. I mean, are we sure that wasn't a mirage? None of us were there. So did he actually? Did James Rodriguez really play for Everton?
And did they really win at Anfield? That's what we're saying, isn't it? If there's no fans to, if tree falls in the woods,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure none of us were really watching that game on TV. But no, in all reality, you're right. This is a good Everton team. In fact, I would say it's probably the most confident Everton team since the Martinez era. And when I say confident, not just being confident in themselves, but confident in what they're doing and how they're playing and their ability to hurt teams, and not just survive in games, actually go out and hurt teams. However, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Martinez era Everton came to Liverpool and got pumped 4-0.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the way Liverpool have played against Everton, it's almost like look, we know we're better than these, but we also know that they're going to make it hard for us. And that kind of almost patronising disrespect, I think, actually harms us. So if Liverpool going into this game thinking, well, no, these are actually a good team, then it might sharpen our minds a little bit. So I think Everton are a better side than they've been in a long time. But do I think that means that they've got a better chance of beating Liverpool? No.
I mean, sometimes a team coming with confidence, like Mo's just said, isn't necessarily a bad thing, to come up against. Andy mentioned it when we were just sort of chatting in the build-up, teams who've come to Anfield, full of confidence. I mean, the 4-0 that Mo just described there is a really good example of that. They were, flying at that point. I think they'd have gone above us in the table had they won. So maybe a slightly confident Everton is no bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I always did the derby, but I prefer playing teams who come at you and look a little bit dangerous on the front foot, because when we play a team who, like we've always mentioned, the low block kills us. We can't stand the low block. And when we play that low block, it proper frustrates us, and I think it frustrates us even more the fact that it's Everton and they're doing something to like challenge us. I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want Everton to be putting a good performance on against us. You want to whack them every week, and I'm kind of hoping that they do come out at us a bit. I think they will with the players they've got, like you said, with Grealish and Dewsbury Hall and Dye. Beto looks like the worst striker in the world until he plays us, and he looks unbelievable. Like I think both their strikers are rubbish, and they're missing a 9.
The things I was calling Beto right up to the moment when he scored against us at Goodison Park, like he's fucking
He's just scored. But he took his goal well, like again, like you said at Anfield, he took his offside goal really well, and he always gives Van Dijk and Konate a very hard game. I think he's just got it drilled into him, just be a nuisance. Whereas in the other games, you kind of not got that instruction. Whereas in the derby, just go in there and be an absolute pain. And like I said, I dread the derbies, but I'm feeling a little bit more confident this one. I never normally do, which is a good sign. But the fact that they're playing well and we're playing well, like we said, the team are due hard, and I don't think it will be them. I think they'll score first, to be honest. I think they'll score, and I think they'll score first, and then they'll try and frustrate us. But I think we'll let back straight away.
I think the interesting thing for me is that how much they can try, because you think about, well, eventually it's going to be, the derby-ness is going to take over. They're going to try and win the physical battle. This is David Moyes we're talking about. He's not necessarily going to start coming and being flamboyant. But that doesn't really suit the players that they've got. So if they do try and come and be a bit more defensive, they may not be as good at it as previous times. So it might, again, work in our favour. But I think as well, looking back to last season's 2 derbies, in February and in April, was it?
Yeah, they were both quite late.
Both quite late in the
Postponed it, the first
Obviously,
one.
the first one's postponed, didn't it? But that fellow that we were talking about in the new Frank Rijkaard, he wasn't playing like Frank Rijkaard in those games. He is now.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of the harm that Beto can cause to Van Dijk and Konate and the 3 lads behind him who are their best players, I think having him in that area is going to make a massive difference for Liverpool.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout.
If we score a late equaliser, we're going to celebrate it like another last minute winner, like they do.
I don't think so. I think the whole walk is fine on this occasion. From that, do you want to pick me a team? It's an interesting one, isn't it? The centre halves and goalkeeper picked themselves. We're all expecting young Frank Rijkaard to play in midfield. Salah will play, but aside from that, it is up for grabs a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, like I say, I think we'll be on the front foot and we'll be the team with the most of possession going forward. So you look at that and think who best suits playing that sort of football, and if you're going to be attacking, you're going to be putting Frimpong at right back. And I think with it being the occasion, I think you start Robertson over Kerkez. I know there's questions over him at the moment. I think he's a brilliant footballer, but there's a few things for him to learn, and that'll come with age. He's only 21. You'd be a bit too rash, and if he gets an early yellow card in the derby, and then Slot's not afraid to take him off as he did it in the first half the other day, so I wouldn't be against that. I think it'd be the same team that started last night, barring I think Ekitike starts instead of Isak.
Okay.
I think that's my only change to the team who started last night.
Any advances on that?
I was fully under the assumption that Bradley would start and Robertson would start. I was kind of shocked to see Robertson start last night because I thought it'd be Kerkez last night and then Robertson
and Bradley.
Robertson and Bradley on Saturday. But with Frimpong's performance last night and the way he got the best out of Salah, I think, because again, Salah always struggles against Everton. Michalenko normally has a great game as well against Salah. So I think maybe giving Michalenko that extra thing to think about in Frimpong might unlock Salah a little bit more. So I'm now going to pick Frimpong as well as Robertson in the middle, like you said. Gravenberch he's not moving. Is McAllister still ready? I'm not too sure. I think Vert should be in that middle as well, because I think when they're going to just try and harm that midfield, and he's the one who can get us out of that. And I probably will play Soberstein next. I'll probably miss McAllister out for this one and bring him on because he hasn't looked at it. He still looks a bit leggy, and I think Soberstein coming and being that engine in the middle and just being a nuisance, just running around like an headless chicken, is going to throw them off a little bit. And then again, I'd start Ekitike. I don't think Isak has got it in him to start again, because I think he'll play a majority of the game in Southampton. I think Slot wants to give him a proper run out, so I don't think he'll play him here. I think he'll bring him on if you bring Isak on with 20 to go. We're all like this, aren't we? And I'm hoping he does go Ekitike, Gakpo and Salah, because that's the three we've kind of started with the majority of this season, so I think he'll do that for a bit more discipline.
Yeah, it's worked nearly past the season now, hasn't it, having Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah. I think with Isak, it's a case of minutes and getting it in his legs, isn't it? And it's one of those things where, Joe, if you lose him by a goal in the last 20 minutes, like you say, you bring someone on who's quality footballer who can get you that goal, but then also if you win 3-0 with 15 minutes to go, you bring him on just to get minutes in his legs. So there'll be game time for Isak in on Saturday, but I don't think he starts.
I think as well, a running behind from Isak's not needed in this game if they're playing that low block. I think Ekitike coming off the shoulder of Tarkowski
really well, doesn't he?
is what we're needing, because he's got that little bit of Firmino about him where he can come off the shoulder, get hold of the ball, and then pin the centre back and then play it and spin. Whereas Isak's just like, give me the ball, put me through on goal. So I think Ekitike is the right play tactically.
It'd be interesting whether there was a plan before the game, Mo, and whether that's still the plan now, because some managers will stick religiously to a plan if they have one. Right, this is the team for Wednesday, this is the team for Saturday, and that's what I'm going for. I think Slot is a slightly different manager to that. I think he's talked before about if players are hot, if players are playing well, sort of keeping them going. I wonder whether some of these decisions might have been made, for example, the right back one, maybe he thought before Wednesday, listen, Frimpong and then bring Bradley in for the derby kind of like makes sense, but then how well Frimpong plays, Bradley struggles a little bit. I think Bradley would be fine if he played him, by the way. I think it was just sort of coming on into that game. I think if he started him in this one, I think he would play well, so I'd have no worries. But it's just a little the fact out how well Robertson plays as well. Is he thinking, well, actually, can I ask Robertson to go again in this one? Again, it's a Merseyside derby. He scored in Merseyside derbies before, and so there's little things like that which will be interesting. Maybe he had his Ian McAllister starting this one, but then he comes on and he's not quite right. I do wonder if last night has changed his mind, because I'm sure he had. Even if he penciled in an Everton team, I'm sure he had it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you want that. I think you want a manager to be constantly reassessing everything, and a manager who's not afraid to say, well, okay, maybe I got it wrong, and not wait until he's been proven wrong to say it. Say, well, okay, well, I thought that this would be the best team because of X, Y, Z, but maybe this player has shown me something I wasn't expecting for a positive reason, and say maybe someone else for a negative reason. And so it can be a little bit more fluid. I also wonder, in terms of the derby, we didn't really kind of go into it, but he mentioned that Curtis Jones was planning to train yesterday. And I think that if he can get him in that squad, he will.
Yeah,
and
he loves the derby, Jones.
He does.
Yeah,
he does. I mean, obviously, we know last time it didn't quite go as well for him at Gibbons as it could have gone, but I think we saw the way he affected the game against Arsenal off the bench. He's another one of those players who can see what a game needs and give it to him. The fascinating one for me is Bradley, because, again, he didn't really look great getting to the pace of the game. So maybe you think, is this kind of derby atmosphere one where it's harder for him to come in, or as opposed to starting? But then we saw, again, going back to the Goodison game, he had to get substituted when he started, because otherwise he was at fear of sending off. And Slot's very hot on that. He's absolutely not going to go down to 10 men if he can avoid it at any point. So does that play into his mind? Does he think, well, that was a derby atmosphere and he might not trust him to be able to ride that out? And if so, does Frimpong come in again? But, I mean, the beauty of it is that whereas last season you felt like he didn't really have a lot of options. It was just like he's got a very small squad and it's going to be one of these two players play here and there. Now it really does feel like he can do lots of different things and trust that all of those different things can potentially work.
Yeah. Listen, there's going to be loads more ahead looking to the Merseyside derby on the Anfield Wrap app, so we'd love you to subscribe. It's £10 a month for all the video and all the audio you could possibly want following this magnificent football team. So it's theanfieldwrap.com/subscribe if you want to get stuck in, or download the app, get some tokens, and you can subscribe from there as well. But like I say, tomorrow there'll be reactions to the press conferences at midday, Mo. I don't know if you've seen.
Yes, it is.
Neil isn't happy.
No, I'm not happy. It could go either way, but I mean, we're considering what the rest of my Friday looks like. not good news.
Yeah, well, whether Mo or Neil like it or not, the press conference is at 12 tomorrow, so we'll be doing pre-match warm-up, hopefully straight after that, if we can rejig everything around, get loads looking ahead, and then obviously after the Merseyside derby on Saturday, the best post-match reaction we think you can get anywhere from the Glenbook pub right by Anfield, audio and video from there, win, lose or draw, but they're going to win. Oh, did they always win? Even if it's, I saw it at Everton, they were like, tweeted that if we're 2-0 down on 90, I will take, 2-0 up on 90, I'll take a draw. That's how Liverpool's,
They'll be lucky to get one.
Well, that's how Liverpool's stoppage times, yeah, if we're 2-0 up, I'll shake your hand on a draw. That's how we're going at the moment, yeah. Look, fantastic time to subscribe to the Anfield Wrap. Do check out everything the Back of the Cop are doing. They've got their own YouTube channel. It's available wherever you get your podcasts as well. So Back of the Cop for all that as well. Episode 1 is out now. Thanks a lot to Nord as well. And of course, my guests and this growing army of people who are now making these podcast/videos happening. It is quite something, but I appreciate it. I feel like Dermot O'Leary. One for the teenagers. You get better references than that on Back of the Cop. Up the Reds.